Well, in this week's restaurant report card, a huge roach problem for one restaurant.
Plus, inspectors find one place that wasn't storing food the way that it should. Channel 2's Bill Spencer has more.
If you are sitting down for dinner at one of these restaurants tonight, you might want to put down the fork and hear this first. Because while the music is soft and the bread basket is full, what is happening in the kitchen might make you lose your appetite before the appetizer even lands. We are not talking about picky eater problems. We are talking about food that is microwaved, mislabeled, and possibly marinated in chaos. So before you dig in, let us start with a place that promises comfort but delivers confusion. Welcome to the Cheesecake Factory, where the decor is dramatic, the menu is a novel, and the food might be dressed up just to distract you. Former employees have revealed that many of the dishes are frozen and reheated, not prepared fresh. That chicken Madeira? It is not slowly simmered, but it is steamed in a plastic bag. The pasta carbonara, pre-portioned, pre-cooked, and pre-forgotten. One worker said the kitchen felt like a microwave battleground. The cheesecake? Yes, it is frozen. But here's the kicker. It is frozen in a central factory, shipped out, thawed, and sold at premium prices. A slice can cost you over $10, and you are basically paying to eat a stylish ice brick with whipped cream on top. And then there is the menu. With more than 200 items, it is less of a dinner selection and more of a panic-inducing test. Multiple ex-staffers admitted that with so many items, proper prep becomes nearly impossible. One former line cook said, "If we have a rush, half the stuff sits out too long, the other half gets overcooked, and the grill is one giant guessing game." Temperature logs from several locations showed meat being held just under the safe limit, enough to invite bacteria, not dinner guests. If that does not concern you, maybe this will. The calorie counts. One pasta dish has over 3,000 calories, more than a grown adult needs in an entire day. You might think you are treating yourself, but you are actually treating your cholesterol to a party it never asked for. A single entree can come with hidden sugar, sky-high sodium, and enough saturated fat to keep your arteries guessing. And if you think you are saving yourself with a salad, be warned. Some of their healthy options pack more fat than a drive-thru burger. At the Cheesecake Factory, you are not just ordering dinner. You are signing up for a food illusion that is beautiful on the outside and questionable behind the scenes. Now, let us talk about a different kind of family dinner. One where the atmosphere is cozy, the name feels homey, and the biscuits come flying. Welcome to Cracker Barrel, the chain that built its brand on tradition and slow-cooked charm. But according to former workers and behind-the-scenes reports, some of that charm might be more manufactured than marinated. Several employees revealed that many home-style dishes arrive frozen, boiled in bags, or scooped from warming trays. One said the macaroni and cheese came in bulk tubs that were heated in hot water and felt like school cafeteria leftovers. Others claimed that green beans were dumped from cans into metal bins and left to sit under heat lamps for hours. One ex-cook said, "The beans looked like they died 3 times before they hit the plate." But it is not just the food. Health inspection reports from multiple locations list recurring issues, including improper storage temperatures, cross-contamination between raw and cooked meats, and staff failing to wash hands after handling trash. In one case, a Cracker Barrel location was cited for serving gravy that had been held at unsafe temperatures for nearly 2 hours. That is not Southern comfort. That is food roulette. And let us not forget the cleanliness. Multiple customers have shared photos online showing sticky floors, dirty silverware, and drink cups with lipstick stains still on the rim. One person said their water glass smelled like mold. Another found a hair in their mashed potatoes and wrote, "It had more seasoning than the chicken." Former staff also described being rushed through prep and asked to reuse serving utensils from previous shifts. That mashed potato scoop? It may have worked a double shift. Even the classic biscuits are not safe. Many locations bake them from frozen dough, not fresh batches. A former baker said the secret was to add extra butter on top to make them appear golden and homemade. Translation: the warmth is staged, the charm is pre-packaged, and the dinner you thought was slow-cooked love might actually be high-speed reheating in disguise. But maybe you were thinking, at least the vibe is nice. True, if you enjoy dim lighting and gift shop trinkets. But behind the country decor and syrupy music lies a chain with efficiency as its real goal, not authenticity. For a place that prides itself on nostalgia, Cracker Barrel seems oddly eager to microwave the past and plate it with a smile. So what do we have so far? One restaurant where your dinner might come out of a freezer bag with a fancy garnish, and another where your gravy could be older than your receipt. And we are just getting started. If you have made it this far, you are clearly hungry for the truth, which is more than we can say about some of these kitchens. If this video is feeding your curiosity, give us a like, subscribe, and share it with someone who still thinks nostalgia tastes like gravy. This is the hidden menu, and we are just warming up. If you thought we were done peeling back the kitchen doors, think again. Because some restaurants do not just serve disappointment, they ladle it out with a smile. The next time you hear someone say, "Let's go somewhere nice," you might want to double check that nice does not mean chemically reheated, secretly frozen, and aggressively overpriced. Because at our next stop, the lighting is romantic, the tablecloths are crisp, and the shrimp might be older than your New Year's resolution. Welcome to Red Lobster, where seafood is the main attraction, but the real mystery might be what sea it came from and how long ago it swam. Let us start with those famous Cheddar Bay biscuits. Yes, they are addicting, but they are also frozen dough baked en masse, not whipped up fresh by some friendly seafood baker. One former employee said the trick was to drown them in garlic butter straight from a squeeze bottle to make them look handcrafted. The result? A butter-soaked illusion that smells like comfort and hides the corners being cut. Now, let us get fishy. Several ex-kitchen staff have claimed that many Red Lobster dishes come from frozen bags, not fresh catches. The fresh fish of the day? Often pre-portioned, vacuum-sealed, and shipped in from large suppliers. One line cook revealed that tilapia would arrive frozen solid and be tossed onto a grill, while still icy on the inside. "We just covered it in seasoning and prayed the customer liked salt," they said. Even the lobster has its secrets. Those tanked crustaceans you see up front? They are mostly for show. A majority of the lobster used in meals is pre-cooked, flash frozen, and reheated in boiling water or microwaved with butter sauce. One customer who paid extra for real lobster got a tail that was rubbery, watery, and oddly sweet. Not the flavor of fine dining, but of a defrost gone wrong. Health inspectors have also raised flags. Reports from multiple locations mention improper thawing practices, undercooked shellfish, and raw seafood stored beside prepped salads. And if you think seafood already smells a bit fishy, imagine opening a walk-in cooler and being greeted by what one employee called a scent that could wake the dead. Red Lobster built its brand on luxury at a discount. But in reality, it is more like budget seafood pretending to be upscale, a surf and turf disguise served with a biscuit smile. If your idea of a romantic dinner is chewy shrimp, questionable scallops, and a lobster tail that tastes like a sponge with a shellfish accent, then by all means, dig in. Otherwise, maybe look for a restaurant that knows the difference between fresh and frozen drama. Now let us switch gears, because not every dinner disaster hides behind fancy menus and linen napkins. Sometimes it is hiding right in the booth across from the arcade machine, behind a pizza buffet that never stops sweating. That is right. Say hello to Chuck E. Cheese, the place where dinner and regret come with tokens. Yes, Chuck E. Cheese is technically a family entertainment center, but they serve full meals. And if you are eating dinner here, especially as an adult, we need to talk. First of all, the pizza. You have probably seen the rumors: uneven slices, mismatched toppings, oddly shaped pies. Multiple viral videos have accused the restaurant of recycling uneaten slices into new pizzas. The company denies this, but former employees have said it was not unusual to see leftover slices disappear into the back, only to return looking magically whole. Even if you get a fresh pie, the quality is suspect. The dough is pre-frozen. The sauce? Mass-produced and stored in tubs that sometimes sit out too long. The cheese is greasy, rubbery, and melts into a glossy layer that can look more like plastic than mozzarella. One worker said the pepperoni came in giant industrial bags and smelled like a locker room covered in paprika. It is not just about bad pizza. Salad bars have been flagged for sanitation issues, with uncovered bins, tongs dropped on the floor, and veggies that look like they have been there since lunchtime. Yesterday. A health inspector once noted wilting spinach mixed with shredded carrots turning translucent. That is not dinner. That is a science fair project. Cleanliness? Let us just say that when you combine toddlers, arcade machines, and pizza grease, the results are rarely Michelin star worthy. Floors are sticky, tables are wiped with overused rags, and utensils sometimes get rushed through the dishwasher on a cycle staff call the speed rinse. A customer once posted a photo of a plastic fork still stuck with dried marinara. Another found a Band-Aid under their breadstick. And while it might seem unfair to critique a place meant for kids, the truth is, they charge real money for those meals. A pizza combo and a few drinks can cost a family $40 to $50. And for that price, you deserve food that does not come with side quests like find the clean table or guess what temperature this meatball is. Chuck E. Cheese sells itself as fun first, food second. But for families eating dinner here, especially in a pinch, it is worth asking, are we feeding joy or just fueling chaos? Because once the tokens run out, all that is left is a lukewarm slice, a sticky tray, and a dining experience that might haunt you longer than the animatronic mouse. We have now seen seafood secrets and pizza sleights of hand. One chain sells you frozen fish as fine dining, the other gives you arcade grease with a side of confusion. And yet people still line up, night after night, because they remember the commercials, the nostalgia, or the smell, not the behind-the-scenes reality. By now, it should be clear, just because a restaurant is busy does not mean it is good. And just because it looks clean on the surface does not mean your food was not defrosted in a sink, tossed on a plate, and dressed up with parsley like that magically makes it safe. The next two spots on this list are masters of the dine and deceive routine. They make you feel like you are getting quality time and quality food. In reality, you are getting neither. Because when your dinner takes 5 minutes to arrive but tastes like it was prepared 5 days ago, you know something is off. Let us walk into TGI Fridays, where every night is supposed to feel like a celebration. But if you take a closer look, it is less Friday night fun and more microwave roulette with extra garnish. Ask almost anyone who has worked in the kitchen, and you will hear the same thing. Most of the menu arrives frozen, bagged, and prepped in off-site commissary kitchens. That sizzling skillet? Pre-cooked chicken, reheated peppers, and a hot metal plate sprayed with water to make it steam. One former line cook said the secret ingredient in half the entrees is just time and hope. The appetizers are no better. That loaded potato skin you love comes frozen in a box. Spinach artichoke dip? Microwaved in a plastic tub and stirred to make it look fresh. Even the sauces. You would think they would be homemade, but many come pre-mixed and labeled in clear packets like sad little hotel shampoos. The only thing that gets made fresh is the bill. But let us talk hygiene, because flavor is one thing, food safety is another. Health inspection reports from multiple TGI Fridays locations have flagged concerns like temperature abuse, mold in ice machines, and even staff using bare hands to garnish plates. A viral photo from one location showed a bartender drying cocktail glasses with the same rag he used to wipe down the sticky bar rail. That is not multitasking. That is a tetanus shot waiting to happen. And then there is the illusion of freshness. The lighting is dim. The booths are cozy. The drinks are colorful. But behind the curtain, there is a massive freezer full of frozen meats, par-cooked pastas, and boxed desserts. One server said their kitchen's motto was, "Do not let the guests see how the magic trick works." Because once you know, the whole place feels like a theatrical set. Great ambiance, scripted lines, and food that is one hot lamp away from going back into storage. Now, if TGI Fridays feels like a sitcom pretending to be a steakhouse, the next place is a roadside nostalgia trip pretending to be a kitchen. Let us talk about Denny's. You probably have fond memories of grabbing pancakes after midnight, or walking in after a road trip like it is a safe haven of syrup and comfort. But comfort is the keyword here, and because once you look behind the menu, it is clear that Denny's is serving up more corners than cuisine. First off, the meat. Multiple former cooks have said the steaks come vacuum-packed, pre-seasoned, and often partially cooked before they even hit the griddle. The burgers? Frozen patties thrown on a flat top until close enough. One employee said they used to play a game called Burger Roulette, where they had to guess whether a patty was from today's delivery or last week's defrost bin. And do not get too excited about the pancakes. While technically made to order, the batter is pumped from a plastic jug that gets reused for days. Syrup dispensers are rarely cleaned. One viral TikTok showed a worker prying dried maple residue off the nozzle with a butter knife. Appetite gone. Let us not forget about those legendary Grand Slams. Eggs that sit in warming trays, sausage links cooked in advance and reheated under heat lamps, and toast that has more butter than structural integrity. One Denny's line cook admitted the hash browns were often reheated 3 times if no one ordered them right away. They said the secret to crispy edges was patience and a generous squirt of grill spray. But Denny's biggest issue? Staffing. The chain is infamous for high turnover, and many night shifts are manned by skeleton crews running on fumes and caffeine. That means fewer hands to cook, clean, or catch mistakes. One former manager revealed that they often had one person acting as server, cook, and dishwasher between midnight and 6 a.m. So if your eggs come with a side of anxiety, that is probably why. Cleanliness is hit or miss. Some locations are spotless, others. Health inspections have documented raw meat stored above produce, utensils left in stagnant water, and restrooms that looked like scenes from a survival movie. A customer once posted a photo of their table, a fork still stuck to dried syrup from the last diner, with a napkin fused to the surface like it had been there since breakfast. 2 weeks ago. The sad truth is, Denny's thrives on routine and nostalgia. You are not there because the food is great. You are there because it is open. But being open does not mean it is serving food worth eating. And at some point, nostalgia starts to taste like stale coffee and disappointment. Both these restaurants are banking on something more than food. They are betting on familiarity. They know people will keep coming back because it is easy, because it is cheap, because it is tradition. But tradition should not mean giving your stomach a coin toss every time you sit down for dinner. By now, the pattern is hard to ignore. The more comforting the menu sounds, the more chaos seems to be hiding behind the scenes. It is not about being dramatic. It is about being realistic. Because if your dinner has a better backstory than your favorite movie, something is very wrong. And the next time you hear the words fresh or wholesome on a laminated menu, just remember, it might be nothing more than a fancy word for frozen. These next 2 restaurants are experts in the art of selling the illusion. But the moment you scratch the surface, it is less about flavor and more about food safety roulette. Take a look at Panera Bread, the place where office meetings go to feel cultured and where salads come with inspirational quotes. The branding screams clean eating, warmth, real ingredients. But the reality, a little less wholesome and a whole lot more microwaved. A former employee once said Panera was not a bakery cafe. It was a glorified break room with soup buckets. The famous broccoli cheddar soup, delivered frozen in plastic bags, heated in boiling water, then served in a bread bowl like it was handcrafted by some apron-wearing artisan. Spoiler, the only thing handmade is the receipt. The mac and cheese? Also frozen. It became so widely known that even Panera leaned into the joke with a TikTok, showing a worker slicing open the plastic pouch like it was fine dining in a dorm room. And those sandwiches? The meats and cheeses are pre-sliced, portioned, and pulled from plastic bins. Avocados are often pre-mashed. The ciabatta rolls might look fresh-baked, but they arrive par-baked and get crisped up in turbo ovens, which is just a fancy name for toaster ovens that scream. You might expect all this from a fast food joint, but Panera prices itself like it is above that. You are paying premium dollars for what amounts to upscale vending machine meals. A salad and a bowl of soup can run you nearly $20. And that does not include the sneaky upcharge for real chicken or the $2 extra to substitute a healthier side. You want an apple instead of chips? Better get your wallet ready. Let us talk about safety. Multiple reports from health departments across the country have flagged Panera locations for holding cold items above safe temperatures, meaning your turkey sandwich might come with a bonus bacteria surprise. A former line worker shared that the prep line's refrigeration often breaks during rush hours, and instead of stopping, staff just keep pushing food out, because the corporate clock does not wait for cooling systems. Even the pastries, which look like they were flown in from a European village, are baked from frozen dough and often sit in the display case all day. The croissants might have more fingerprints than flakiness, and the muffins, left out until they are hard enough to chip a tooth. But hey, they still come with cute little chalkboard signs, so they must be fresh, right? Now, if Panera is the health-conscious illusionist, then P.F. Chang's is the theatrical magician. Walk in and you're greeted by dark wood, golden dragons, and dim lighting that whispers elegance. But behind the rice bowls and decorative statues lies a kitchen that has more drama than a reality show reunion. The lettuce wraps may be iconic, but that iceberg lettuce comes in by the crate, pre-cut and vacuum sealed. The fillings? Pre-mixed, pre-marinated, and portioned days in advance. One chef compared it to assembling Legos with soy sauce. The sauces, sesame, hoisin, teriyaki, are made from large vats of pre-blended base liquids shipped in from corporate suppliers. And yes, those vats are stored in plastic bins that have been flagged in multiple locations for grime buildup and cross-contamination. One inspector found traces of raw chicken near the sesame oil container. That is not fusion. That is food poisoning on a schedule. Then there is the wok cooking. The flames look dramatic from the dining room, but in reality, most proteins are par-cooked beforehand to save time. That stir-fried shrimp, flash-boiled earlier in the day, tossed in oil at the last second, and plated like it just came from the sea. A former employee said the goal during dinner rush was speed over quality. If the shrimp was not fully thawed, it still hit the wok. The heat will finish it, they said. That is not confidence. That is negligence with garnish. The rice, pre-steamed in massive batches. The noodles, pre-packaged and dumped into hot water like a dorm recipe with better plating. And let us talk about the cleanliness. Health records have shown violations from improperly stored raw meats to sinks filled with dirty utensils while staff used plastic forks to serve guests. At one location, the dishwasher broke mid-shift, and instead of stopping service, they rinsed everything with hot water and a prayer. But the illusion is strong. Dim lights, oversized plates, fancy fonts on the menu. You feel like you are at a luxury spot, so your brain stops questioning what your stomach is about to receive. And the prices only deepen the deception. A single entree can cost $20 to $30. Add a drink and an appetizer, and suddenly your dinner costs more than your weekly groceries. But at least you get a fortune cookie, right? One that might say, you are what you eat. Hopefully not. Both Panera Bread and P.F. Chang's have one thing in common. They look clean. They sound healthy. They feel safe. But looks can be deceiving and flavor can be faked. You're not just paying for food. You are paying for the performance. A show made of branding, ambient music, and corporate-tested flavor profiles that keep you distracted long enough to ignore the shortcuts. And by the time the check arrives, the only fresh thing on the table might be your disappointment. The most dangerous meal is not the one that looks questionable. It is the one that looks completely normal. Because when everything on your plate feels familiar, your brain stops asking questions. That sizzling fajita, that stacked burger, that perfectly toasted bun, all part of the illusion. And if you think that dinner special came hot off the grill, think again. Because these next two restaurants are experts at disguising mass production as personal touch. And your fork might be pointing straight at a corporate science project in disguise. Let us talk about Ruby Tuesday, the chain that once promised a simple, fresh American dining experience. What you actually get? A crash course in how far frozen food can travel and still be called fresh. Former employees have described the kitchen as a freezer aisle with a microwave attached. Almost everything, from the chicken tenders to the mashed potatoes, comes in vacuum-sealed plastic, often labeled by weight, not by flavor. One ex-line cook said they could prep a dinner shift without turning on a single burner. The salad bar, their proud centerpiece, tells its own story. The lettuce is bagged and pre-chopped. The tomatoes often arrive already diced in preservative water. And the pasta salad? Spooned from tubs that have expiration dates longer than some relationships. A former manager claimed they were told to rotate items in the bar visually, not by freshness. Just mix the old with the new and smooth it over. One guest posted a photo of their salad plate with a cherry tomato that had fully collapsed in on itself, like it was reliving a trauma. Then there is the burger situation. Ruby Tuesday promotes its handcrafted burgers, but many locations receive their patties frozen and pre-seasoned. The grill marks? Sometimes pre-seared at the factory and reheated just long enough to wake them up. The buns? Delivered in bulk, sometimes stale before they hit the grill. Add to that the toppings, kept in shallow pans, often uncovered during rush hour, and you have a sandwich that is more open to contamination than a public bathroom door handle. Their famous broccoli and cheese? It arrives frozen in blocks, gets microwaved, then hit with a splash of melted Velveeta-style sauce to make it look alive. But taste it, and you will know. It is not cheese. It is denial. Health inspections have flagged locations for temperature issues in cold storage, improper glove use, and staff eating in prep areas. One viral complaint showed a worker reaching into a toppings tray with bare hands after sneezing. The manager's solution? A paper towel and a head shake. Now slide over to Outback Steakhouse, a place where the theme is Australian, but the food is pure chain playbook. Those sizzling steaks? Many are vacuum-packed and sous vide before ever touching the grill. That means they are boiled in a plastic bag, stored, and then quickly seared right before hitting your plate. It looks hot. It sounds fresh. But it is about as spontaneous as a PowerPoint presentation. The famous bloomin' onion is less a recipe and more an industrial blueprint. Pre-scored onions arrive from a supplier already cut into petal formation. They are dipped into a powdered batter mix, frozen again for consistency, then dumped in oil. The fryer oil itself? Employees have shared that it often goes days without being changed, leading to food that tastes like it has been cooked in regret. One former employee described the kitchen smell as onion meets Footlocker. Outback's bread, the dark sweet loaf served before your meal, might feel like a warm homemade touch. But it is made off-site, shipped frozen and thawed in bulk. If it arrives hard, they microwave it and pray. The butter? Whipped margarine disguised with a decorative swirl. A shocking confession from a former kitchen manager revealed that steaks sometimes fall to the floor during plating. And unless someone sees it, it goes right back on the plate. Why? Because steak costs money, apologies do not. The restaurant runs on speed, and if your filet hits the tile, so be it. Call it floor-aged. Health inspections at several locations have flagged issues like raw meat stored above vegetables, sinks backed up during service, and roaches spotted near the dry storage. One ex-employee said that on bad days they had to pep talk the food into looking edible before it left the pass, and cleanliness? During rush hour, dishes sometimes stack faster than they can be washed. One worker said they were told to rinse plates with hot water and use the hottest one on top to kill bacteria. That is not a solution. That is a gamble with a garnish. But the biggest magic trick is pricing. You go in expecting premium steakhouse quality. What you get is pre-cooked beef, bagged sides, and desserts that come in frozen, sliced, and boxed. Yet somehow the check still looks like you just dined at a white tablecloth bistro. Because the name sells the experience, the branding sells comfort. And the food? The food just sells itself short. At both Ruby Tuesday and Outback Steakhouse, the true dinner is the illusion. You are not eating handcrafted meals, you are eating corporate systems. Pre-weighed, pre-cooked, pre-digested, if you consider how many times the ingredients have been thawed, held, and reheated. The customer might be dining in the present, but the food itself? That is from the past, and possibly the lost and found. Sometimes the scariest thing on your plate is not what you see, it is what you do not. Because the moment a restaurant gets good at appearances, the real danger is how easily we stop paying attention. And when dinner becomes a routine, so do the risks. If you have made it this far, you already know the pattern. Flashy menus, dim lighting, sizzling sound effects, and just enough garnish to keep you from asking what that meat was doing before it reached your table. So let us finish strong with two more places where the price of dinner might be more than you bargained for, and the truth is not exactly listed in the ingredients. Say hello to IHOP, the International House of Pancakes, except we are not here for breakfast. We are talking about dinner and what happens when you trust a place built on syrup to get serious about savory. Here's the secret most people do not know. A huge chunk of IHOP's dinner menu is just breakfast ingredients reassembled with new names. The roasted turkey dinner? That is lunch meat warmed on a flat top. The country fried steak? Often frozen pre-breaded patties that arrive in plastic and take a nap in the deep fryer before being smothered in powdered gravy. Behind the scenes, the kitchen is less a kitchen and more a battlefield of griddles, microwaves, and heat lamps. Several former cooks have admitted that their job was not really to cook, just to thaw, flip, and plate. One said the hash browns and mashed potatoes are made from the same dehydrated base. Add water and butter and hope nobody notices. Someone else posted a video of an omelet being filled with reheated pot roast. Yes, the same pot roast used in dinner entrees. It looked like someone dropped a school lunch inside an egg and called it gourmet. One of the most telling signs? The side salads. Ask for one and you might get lettuce with brown edges, a tomato slice that looks translucent, and croutons with a crunch of regret. A viral photo once showed a side salad with an unopened packet of dressing. Still frozen. The caption just said, "Dinner and a science experiment." Health inspection records from several IHOP locations have raised concerns over cross-contamination, food held at unsafe temperatures, and unwashed produce being prepped next to raw meat. One inspector noted that employees were using the same gloves to crack eggs, wipe down counters, and plate pancakes. That is not multitasking. That is a microbiology hazard. And do not even get started on the syrup containers. They sit out all day, get sticky, attract flies, and rarely get washed between shifts. One former server called them sweet little bacteria bombs. Another said they once found a fruit fly colony living under the cap. When they told the manager, the response was, "Just wipe it off." So while IHOP may lure you in with comfort food charm, the truth behind that chicken dinner or steak omelet might leave you more nauseous than nostalgic. Dinner here is not a culinary experience. It is breakfast leftovers in a trench coat pretending to be something they are not. Now let us close with one more chain that many trust without question. Applebee's. That neighborhood grill and bar where the appetizers are endless, the booths are always sticky, and the menu looks like it was designed by someone who just discovered adjectives. But here is the thing. The food? It is barely cooked in-house at all. More like warmed, flipped, and served with a marketing smile. Multiple former employees have confirmed that up to 90% of Applebee's food arrives frozen, vacuum-sealed, and pre-cooked. That sizzling skillet of fajitas, pre-packaged meat, microwaved, and spritzed with water to create the steam. The famous chicken tenders, flash-fried from a bag. Even the pasta dishes often come with sauce packets that are reheated in hot water like instant soup. A viral clip once showed a cook cutting open a sealed bag of Alfredo sauce, pouring it over microwaved noodles, then torching the whole thing in a pan for 30 seconds to make it look like it was cooked from scratch. One comment read, "This is not dinner. This is deception with a side of breadsticks." Even the drinks have stories. Bartenders have admitted that most of the colorful cocktails are made using bottom-shelf liquor and sugar-heavy mixes to cover the taste. One said the top shelf was only there to hold the cleaning supplies. The famous Blue Long Island? Described by one reviewer as mouthwash and denial in a glass. Cleanliness is not exactly the strong suit either. Health reports from multiple Applebee's locations have flagged issues like dirty prep stations, moldy soda nozzles, and expired ingredients being used during rush hours. One former manager admitted they sometimes kept food in hot wells hours past safe limits just to avoid waste. That chicken quesadilla might come with cheese, salsa, and a side of salmonella. Another issue? Reuse of garnishes. Lemons, limes, parsley. If it does not look visibly rotten, it goes back in the tray. And while the presentation might pass for decent under dim lighting, those loaded nachos could be hiding more than melted cheese. But perhaps the most unsettling part is the illusion of hospitality. Applebee's markets itself as your neighborhood spot. Familiar, friendly, comfortable. But what it really offers is a highly engineered experience, where the food is processed in a central facility, the recipes are downloaded from corporate headquarters, and the goal is not freshness, it is speed. So what have we learned from this tour of disappointment disguised as dinner? From breakfast for dinner masquerades to microwave meals with candlelight, The common thread is clear. These 12 restaurants are not failing because of taste. They are failing because of trust. They rely on image over ingredients, consistency over care, and cost-cutting over common sense. And we have let them. Because convenience tastes good. Familiarity tastes good. But when the lights come on and you realize your steak was steamed in a bag, and your salad was prepped next to a mop bucket, the appetite disappears. Dinner should not be a guessing game. It should not be a roulette wheel of expired sauces and thawed chicken strips. If this made you rethink your dinner plans, hit like and subscribe to The Hidden Menu. Because food should satisfy your cravings, not your curiosity about what went wrong. And remember, the truth is not always on the menu.